All right, welcome everybody to Lunch with LeAnn. You will notice that my background is a little different this afternoon, and it's very fitting because I'm using lots of technology in order to come to you today. And our guest today is Janice Carson, and she just happens to know a lot about technology and assistive technology. So it's really great to have you here today, Janice. Thank you for joining us.
Why, thank you for having me.
So, Janice, viewers just really want to know, what are you having for lunch?
Inquiring minds want to know. I am having a green salad with salmon, with one of the salmon patties from Costco.
Oh, I love those salmon patties from Costco. They're healthy and easy.
The easy, easy. Oh, that's my life. It's the easy part of the food. Yes.
Yeah, the easy and the healthy. Well, I picked up some to-go Zen Bento here,
Mm,
which is really a good place. It's out of Boise, and there's two locations, and they make
mm,
all their meat on the grill. And I get the zesty sauce. It's very good, and nice on
yeah,
the go.
that sounds very yummy.
Yeah. So, Janice, you're coming at us from up north. So, welcome. And you're with the Idaho Assistive Technology Project. Uh,
Um,
yeah. So, what is the Assistive Technology Project, and what do you guys do up there?
Well, that's a really good question. So, I'm the state director for the Idaho Assistive Technology Project. We are federally funded, and we are housed in another federally funded program, the Center on Disabilities and Human Development, and we're all within in the University of Idaho. So it's a nice fit for us. Some of the ATX are nonprofits, some are with VR, some are with their own types of centers, CDHD, some are state level. So we all look a little bit different. We were authorized in 1998 as the Tech Act, and then we were reauthorized. So that's no longer our law. Our federal statute is now the Assistive Technology Act, which was reauthorized in 2004. So we do, with that change, there are a couple of different directions that we focus on. One is state leadership, and so it's providing that advice and support and thoughts on policy to agencies, to individuals, for families and state government. So with that, we do training, we do technical assistance, we do public awareness, such as right now, and we do coordination and collaboration with other agencies. We absolutely love doing that. Then we also have the biggest part of what we do is that state level piece, which sounds kind of funny. And it is kind of funny. I don't know who came up with these terms, but that is getting the AT into someone's hands. Isn't that the most important part? And so when we do that with Idahoans can come into our offices. There we have 4 of them, AT resource centers. There's one in Coeur d'Alene, one in Moscow, one in Boise, and then we also work with our Independent Living Center Life in Idaho Falls, and we have an AT resource center there as well. It's a lending library. Think of it as a library, but instead of books, we have lots of equipment, lots of technology for people to give a go. So when people walk in the door, they'll say, this is what I want to do, and this is the environment. And then my AT techs and my AT professionals, they will say, okay, why don't we try this or this type of device? And they know all the specifications. And then the individual can borrow it. You check it out like a book, and you take it home and you give it a go, and we'll do the demo, you give it a go. And then when you decide on what it is, that personal decision on what works for you after you've borrowed it, then we help you kind of figure out how to get it. And that can be from organizations that provide support, depending on the individuals, they're just who they are and what they do. That makes a difference. And then also we have a financial loan program, and we work with a couple of banking partners and for cash loans. And since '98, we do loans at prime, so it's 3.5% interest rate right now. And we have done just about $5 million in financial loan to Idahoans. So there's lots of different ways to make it happen, and we call that the AT flow to provide all those supports.
Wow, that's incredible. You can learn something, and I felt like I know a lot about that host. Thank you, Janice. Janice, what's the ADA mean to you?
The ADA, I spent in preparation for this. I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and it's very personal. It's for professionally. It has a personal and a professional perspective. Certainly, it's also actually quite emotional. If you think about it, it's really at the core of who I am philosophically and professionally. One of my heroes, people have their rock stars and they go to the concerts and they're screaming. Well, I have my rock stars too. I have my rock stars are would be like Ronald Mays. And Ronald Mays is one of our heroes of the ADA. And when he was a child, he contracted polio. He grew up to be an architect, and he coined this phrase in philosophy of universal design. And in that, you absolutely should pre-design buildings so that everyone has access. And honestly, the access is not about the individual, it's really about the design of the environment. And that's really where my heart is at. And I take that into education. And so my dissertation and as my dissertation and my work in education really stems around that. It's that learning environment, making sure it's designed in such a way, such as with universal design for learning, which is an instructional design model that stems out of universal design. And David Rose, who was the founder of CAST, and the Center for Applied Specialized Technology, and came up with the concept of universal design for learning. They met. He met with Ronald Mays, and they said, "Yeah, it's like universal design." So they came up with universal design for learning. If there was time travel, I would go back to that moment. Those are my two heroes, and like be a fly on the wall and watch that conversation. So it really, really impacts education and making sure that it's done in such a strategic manner that the environment isn't a barrier, the curriculum isn't a barrier, but it is designed so everyone can walk in and participate. When we leave one person out of the classroom and the conversation, that classroom, those students are losing critical perspective, absolutely critical perspective. And it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the rest of the class. It's not appropriate for the student who has so much to offer. And so it's critical that we make sure those classrooms are available and the learning is available for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Janice, what are you all doing with the ADA celebration? I mean, this just kind of threads into your being as an organization and also as a person. So what are some of the highlights of with your ADA celebration?
Oh, it's actually, we're pretty excited. So I said we're all about accessibility. So personally and professionally, oh my goodness, we are so about that with celebrating with our colleagues and sponsoring the state celebration. And so it's always so much fun to do this face to face when we have our celebration in the summer and in Boise. But boy, talk about an opportunity to take it bigger and broader and statewide and do it online, which is just so much fun with all of the things that we're doing. So I have one of my staffs, Nick Stallings, focusing on access. He's one of our AT specialists. We really kind of call him our MacGyver. Oh my gosh, he can take chewing gum and a wrapper and he can turn it into a communication device. I mean, he's mind boggling. And Lane Amaro is one of our contractors and one of my very dear friends. And the two of them have been providing online accessibility training. And so we've been focusing on that for documents, plain language, alt text, captioning, all of those components. We've been doing a lot of training and support on that. So Idahoans have that information. because we need everything, buildings, we need curriculum, we need materials, we need websites, we need everything accessible. So no matter where you're living, working, and playing, you have access to the world. That's exactly what we're working for.
It's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
And Janice, we some of our conference attendees last year or last week at the IL conference, the Independent Living Conference, LeAnn did an entire series in the afternoon around accessibility, and it was fantastic. We've gotten great feedback. So you're all doing such great work for us, especially now that we're so dependent on technology
Oh
for
yeah,
everything.
absolutely. It's been an interesting lesson, hasn't it? In making sure everything. It's 2020 has been difficult, but it's also been an opportunity. And so we're all growing and understanding more about that accessibility component. So you have to flip it around and look at those opportunities.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite things about your programs and all the services you offer really is that test drive of assistive technology,
Yeah.
because it is so personal. And as someone who uses it on a regular basis, what works for me doesn't work for my neighbor or next door. And it's quite an investment. So that
Right.
lending library is awesome.
You know, that, LeAnn, that is so important. That point is so important. And so it used to be, 30 years in the genesis of assistive technology. And when I started training on it, oh my gosh, a billion years ago, um, I remember those were the times when people would just make decisions. Here's the need and here's the device, and then you would give it to the individual who needed to use it, and then it's like, okay, well, we had 80% abandonment rates because of that. And how offensive is that? No one chooses a car for you. No one chooses a phone for you. Why on earth, something that is so critical for your life, would someone make that choice? And so I use assistive technology as well. And so I would be completely offended if someone chose mine. So being able to give it a go and making sure it works within your all of your environments is exactly why the Assistive Technology Project was put into place, and to provide those supports. And in Idaho, we're really, really blessed, and there's no charge for Idahoans to be able to borrow equipment. And so that's not necessarily in all the states, but in Idaho, that's one thing that I can offer. And we have grants and supports that we're able to do that. And we have a couple of different projects that we use. We work with the State Department of Ed for K-12. And we also work with the FCC, and we have a grant for individuals who are deaf and blind for distance communication. And if you meet the criteria for that, it's the I Can Connect project. And so there's a lot of different things going on around the state that we're weaving in and supporting, and have supports for all Idahans.
That's great. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I did tag the Idaho Assistive Technology Project in our post, so you can see them on Facebook. We'll post the website in the comments for you as well. Janice, are those the great ways that people can learn more and reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So going to our website, and then sometimes, we're all kind of getting used to this takeout sort of thing, looking at menus. So sometimes you can go into restaurants, sometimes you can't. It's always nice to kind of do that takeout menu, right? And take a look at well, you can do that with the AT project as well. So there's an AT for All website, and I'll have LeAnn link that as well. And it's a database, and you can go in and you can look for the AT or the technology that you think you might need, or you would like to see if we have. You can find out which lending library it's located in. And most of our lending libraries are all replicated, but sometimes we have specialized technology in one and not the other, and we can make sure that we can get that to the individual, so they can take a look at it, set up an account, and then we can get assistive technology to them.
That's fantastic. And I know at Link, we use AT for All and reference that all the time. It's a great.
Absolutely. I love it as our one-stop shop. So we have that available for Link and Live. and DAC, and Boise School District also uses it as well. So our AAAs use it. So anyone who has any type of technology, assistive technology that they can loan, we want to make sure it's a one-stop because it's also about emergency services. So if we have an emergency in one part of the state, we need to know where equipment is at so that we can look there and get that equipment shipped to individuals who need it if there's a disaster. So that's another reason to have one-stop shop database because we partner, we
Absolutely.
work together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Janice. Well, I want to personally thank you, but also on behalf of all the viewers, thank you for such great content and great work all around the state of Idaho. So remember, Idaho Assistive Technology is all over Idaho. So if you live in Idaho and need something, they're a great place to start for that work. So thank you, Janice, for
You're
joining
welcome.
us. And Lauren, thank you again for the sign language interpretation. We appreciate all of you, your great work. We hope you're having a great day out there. And we will see you next week on Lunch with LeAnn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.